welcome everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Minds. I'm here with Balaji. We're starting a new series today to talk through deep tech technology, blockchain, AI, and business trends. So basically, just two of us are gonna, share things we've learned in this space that we are excited about, and want to, pick each other's brain. So it'll be like you're sitting in on a dinner table conversation with Balaji and me, and we have a couple of topics we want to cover today. But to start it off, I would like to talk through some of the key things that happened this week. The biggest one being Eat merge. So Balaji, as a CTO, you've pushed a lot of things into production. I've pushed a lot of things into production, and we know how painful it is. It's 5 years in the making, if you remember right, how long
I,
it took to get here.
it,
Do you
yeah,
like?
it's a monumental thing, right? I think for a distributed community to get this achieved is a huge, huge thing in the world, right? A
Yeah,
lot of planning, a lot of
I
effort.
yes, and I have to be honest, right? I've pushed a lot of things in production in the last 15, 20 years. It has never been this smooth. But also, we can't celebrate already. There's going to be 2 to 3 months before all the bugs get out here. There might be issues coming up. But overall, I was actually, I stayed up. I couldn't stay up past 12 Central Time, but then I woke up again at 2:30 to 3 just to make sure if my ETH account was zero or if it actually was going to be okay. But it said merge completed successfully, so I was able to go back to sleep. I know people had like watch parties for this. I didn't go that far, but I just want to make sure my ETH bag was not going to be zero when I woke up. That's all.
It's definitely exciting, right? But the key thing is, I think we should understand that this is the beginning of all the promises that Ethereum is starting to deliver, right? The gas fees is not going to go disappear overnight, or the number of transactions are going to go super high per second. I think this guarantees more decentralization. This guarantees more resiliency for attacks and other things, right? And to reduce energy consumption, that's a huge win. Someone said it's
Correct.
probably 0.2% of the electricity consumption in the world, maybe. I don't know.
So it says zero
Right.
point zero 0.02. I mean,
Zero two.
Ethereum
Right.
electricity consumption is gone by 99%. But zero point zero 0.02 doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like a country like Finland completely unplugging from the global network, right? So it's
Crazy.
significant. So it is. So I know, like you said, this is one of five steps before we get to the promised land of 100,000 transactions per second. But it's a good first step, so I'm excited about it. All right,
Excellent.
so everybody, so what we want to talk through is just there are a lot of other people talking about the price, technical analysis on chart, and that's not what we're going to be doing here. We are going to talk through for all of blockchain or AI, whatever concepts we see from a business angle, right? To me, what are the use cases that are going to be successful? We think are going to be successful. Just talk to pros and cons, and I know there's a lot of people in the field just to make quick money or talk about prices. We won't be that show for you guys, but we do want to talk about it because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and Balaji is also an entrepreneur. So we want to look at what is these technologies present opportunities for the next 10, 20 years. So as investors, where do we put our money? As builders, where do we want to, put our time, and where's going to be best ROI is what we're going to talk through. So saying that, I know Balaji, you have a specific thing. You do a little bit of more research. So let's start there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Today I wanted to talk about technology that could propel or fundamentally fuel the Web3 transformation, right? Again, I know the community still has different versions of what a Web3 is, and I have my take on it too. I think for me, at the very basic level, uh, Web3 is Web2 plus whatever the Web2 promised that didn't deliver, right? I think that's a simpler, way simpler definition to get to, because after that we can say what Web3 can do and do all the fun stuff. But I think first thing people want is the promise to be delivered from the Web2. And what are those? I mean, simply my privacy, my identity, give it back to me, right? Or give me the ability to censor, not censor, all that stuff, right? I think all those promises which are not kept are taken away by the big entities. We're trying to get it back. That's how I look at it. So with that being said, I picked for today a technology called the graph. So the graph essentially is technology that's going to index and deliver queries on blockchains. That's the very basic functionality. I think it's simple enough to understand, right? If you have a lot of data flowing into these blockchains, and there's several of them, there's many customized showing up on a regular basis. How is anyone going to take a peek, follow certain patterns, trends, data, so get useful information out of it? So the graph is one such technology that's indexing all this blockchain data of interest and provide you query language that you can use, plug it into your app or distributed app or whatever services you're coming up with to make that knowledge useful. That's essentially what I want to talk about today. So let's.
Perfect.
Do you want to dig a little deeper, Rajni,
Yes,
or do you want?
I want to. I'm not. I know about graph. I'm not very familiar with it, so I would love to hear your perspective and then see if I can offer some thoughts on my own.
Okay, absolutely. I think the components of the graph network is basically a few components like indexer, right? Whoever is indexing it, and then there is this concept of a person who creates the subgraphs, right? Or the person who creates subgraph and signals the indexer go index it, called the curators. And then you get the delegators, like every other place, like, who accumulate the graph tokens and try to get benefit out of the indexing process. So the basic tokenomics, let's see if I can throw this on the screen. Okay, so hopefully.
Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, that looks good now.
So this summarizes the type of flow. So you got the consumers who basically want to consume this data, and they pay fees on a per query basis, right? Which is probably 302 cents in US dollar terms, roughly, according to the website. And how does the data get in, right? So developers / curators, they create these subgraphs and publish it to the graph network. And think of it as a single API. Let's say you look at Ethereum blockchain and say, hey, a lot of data is flowing in, and I want to learn about how much volume is DYDX doing, right? That's a simple
Yep.
query, and I want to know that, right? And somebody creates that subgraph and publishes it, and puts some money or GRT towards getting returns off of it if it becomes ever popular. Then they signal the indexer saying, hey, this is a great new feature, there's a lot of demand for it, and indexers get these all day, right? So now they're going to say pick and choose what they want to service an index, because everything costs energy, time, and money. So the indexer, let's say they pick one of these queries and start indexing in a hope that traffic is going to come because the curator thinks this is something fundamentally going to be very useful. And then they look into the blockchain continuously and start indexing their data. And a developer writes a nice web page, pulls off this query and displays it, right? And every query that goes through the website will start generating revenue for the indexer and eventually flow to the curator. So I think the arrow here, you can see the value flows are in how the money gets distributed in these type of arrows.
Got it. So really, it's a function of how much money the curator can make is a function of the demand from the consumers. But how does the indexer I guess they make an educated guess on what the consumer wants, or is there a signal that they use to index these
It's
things?
right. I think it's very early on, and it's a right question, right? When I saw that, like, how does the indexer decide? And it's a fundamentally, I think it's a question of how good these curators are, right? It's like a Wikipedia. When you when you publish something and you claim that this is it, right? How do you believe it? So I think these kind of things will evolve with reputation over time. Who is signaling, saying that this is going to bring some demand? Maybe it's a um, popular app, and the API on that app is inherently going to be popular. Kind of thought
Got
process,
it.
right? If you look at the graph portal and see who is publishing these subgraphs, and you can see some of these are in the last bull run of DeFi based apps, right? So I think naturally the indexer thinks, okay, DeFi is making money. Anything with DeFi probably is useful to someone. So let me go index that with the prospect of making money.
Got it. Okay. So almost, I'm oversimplifying it, but it's almost like Pinterest, right? Where people pin various things, but somebody, I think the algorithm does it, but here's some kind of indexing person does the same thing, curates the most popular ones, or curates some things that they think are going to get popular, and hopefully that's in line with what the consumers are looking for. So
Correct.
consumers willing to pay money to or money yeah money to access this data for whatever reason, right? So the
Right.
consumers could be other businesses that built on top of this API, correct, or this data.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the big difference, right? It's going to be so. If you think of far down in the future, Graph as a you can visualize Graph as a system of a lot of these APIs coming together, giving a simple way to query. You can mix and match, right? So we can say, for example, there could be two curators, um, one giving what's the revenue on DYDX, and the other one is saying what's the
Okay.
revenue on Uniswap, right? And then a consumer does not want to split it, or maybe they have this overarching query, like what is the overall exchange income in the blockchain space? Um, so you're able to combine. So that's the power of this GraphQL, right? You can combine a lot of these subqueries to create your own bigger overarching query. So who would use that? Research firms or things like that will probably need this kind of data, right? Because indexing blockchain in itself is a problem that it's not an ordinary problem, because as you can see, Ethereum merges or changes into a different blockchain. Things are happening in blockchain as we speak. And when these changes happen, a system like this should keep up. So you need a very focused effort on trying to index things of even of a blockchain, even if you say it's immutable. Um, I think that's where the value add is, right? And eventually, you can even think of someone coming up with a Google-like service, right, where you can input text and it'll go run some of these queries at some cost, and maybe they serve ads. Who knows, right? It's the Google for Web3. Again, you can start imagining what you can do with these kind of API access to data in a scalable
Absolutely.
fashion.
Then if I put on my builder hat and an investor hat, if this is I'll just call it a curated set of data that's available, to your point, they can build businesses on top of it that just helps people make better decisions, whether research businesses, whether it's people who are trying to invest in even tokens of these uh, companies. You can make some better decisions for sure. As an investor, now I'm interested in seeing what are the companies and what kind of ideas are coming into play because of this ecosystem being available, and you can start investing in those companies too if you don't want to be a builder in the space. So that's definitely a lot of exciting opportunities here.
That's yeah, that's essentially the goal of the graph system, right? And as for the tokenomics, I think you can see the price currently uh, is not what do you call ramping up, because primarily I think the reward system right now is inflationary, right? They're minting. So I think this particular token has 10 billion max supply. They're almost close to 6.57 billion, and they are, as these queries come in and fees are getting collected, the rewards are being issued at a 3% inflationary rate. I think they're still distributing more tokens out from the original 10 billion. But I think what you can imagine, as it all fills up and hits the max, at some point the demand kicks in, and the price of the token probably will start moving up.
So to me, if I'm looking at it as a two-side marketplace, right? One side is curators who are providing the data, another side consumers. It's always I shouldn't say problem. The two-sided marketplaces are one of the toughest businesses that you can grow and scale. It needs a lot of upfront money. Like I say, Uber took a lot of money to get to where it is. I don't know how much they're making now, but really, there are other what's the place where you go to get staff for technology. I know Top Talent is one place, but it's not really a platform. So what is the
ZipRecruiter, Dice.
No,
for
where you go find people around the world to work on it. I've used it so many times I can't remember the name, but
people around the world. There's a ton of them.
basically, if you have to find some web design or somebody who can do your YouTube thumbnail, where do you go?
Oh, I use Graphic River, websites like that to go find some material.
So what I'm saying is, even if it's
Fiverr.
there's
I think Fiverr is another one, right, for small. Or maybe that's what you meant, Fiverr.
I'm like, dang it. So anyway, even Fiverr is a two-sided. There's demand, like people like you are asking for design, and then we have to have designers on this side. So really, if you look at it, we need to have enough curators in the system for the consumers to be interested in it, and it's like a chicken egg problem, right? So really, I've worked with other entrepreneurs who are trying to build a very similar to Fiverr, but instead of having individual team members you can hire like whole teams. And then, but the other side, there are companies who are like outsourcing full projects rather than saying, hey, I just need a developer, a PM, a designer. They're trying to do whole teams. Interesting concept. One of the toughest thing you can do is build a two-sided marketplace, right? And I think that's where I see it is the more information that the curators put in it, the better chances of success. So let's see how this, we will revisit another time, but it's going to be interesting how this plays out. I see value, right? But getting everybody to tie into it and getting adoption,
right?
Pretty sure
I
smart
think,
people.
I think one of the things about this is just giving the platform ready, right? I think everybody's building towards something, and the platform is ready, and the hope is that the demand is generated fundamentally by the Web3 community, right? Whatever use cases they come up with, and they start storing it in a blockchain, immediately this system is going to be useful for somebody else to do research on that, right? Because as soon as you plug it in the API, anybody can consume. Now people want that metadata. So I think talking about your demand generation, I think it's kind of built into the community itself. As Web3 grows, certain things will become popular. Once they become popular, somebody wants to pick at it, and when someone wants to pick at it, naturally somebody's going to go develop API service, distributed API service.
Makes sense. That's exciting. Thanks for sharing that. That was very good information. I didn't know a lot about it, so that's awesome. All right, I have one topic I want to cover, which is I love sports, fantasy sports, daily fantasy leagues, betting when I'm in Vegas, of course. But anyway, so there's something I really enjoy. So as I'm looking at all these blockchain examples, right, it's one of the key people. I have a lot of friends who won't even touch this space because I won't say blockchain. Just I'm talking specifically about crypto. It's all a sham, right? So at the end of the day, there's not a good use case. Is what it all boils down to every single conversation. So we decided to look at this from that angle. What are blockchain's ideas that are in existence right now that actually have use cases? So overlaying that with my interest for sports and games, I came up with a list of companies, and the best way to look at as an investor or as a builder to like where do you invest your time or money is look at what the VCs are doing, look at where the money is flowing, right? It's a great way to kind of see like somebody's putting money where their mouth is because they're making bets on the future. And they understand you make 10 bets, 9 will fail, one's going to hit. That's how the VC world works, right? But the
Okay.
bottom line is, if you see a bunch of money going into a specific vertical, then you know there's at least some upside to it. So that's where I started. I started looking at four, what's 8 companies, and I started looking at their investments, what investors put in. So I want to share some of these because when I looked at it, it was very exciting. A couple of them I couldn't access because live in the US, I can access some of them, or at least I can view it, but I can't really play with it just for legal reasons. But if you don't mind, Balaji, if you can pull up the stakes one, I think. So
Yeah.
stakes is one of the sports wagering, and but it's a little different. But the reason I like it is more casual. There's no money involved. You're playing it more for your rep. So you know how I'm always trash talking people. I say, Cowboys are going to win. I've given up on that trash talk. But overall, it's a great way to say, if you make predictions with your friends and stuff, you can say, I think somebody's going to score 100 yards. So you can put that on the line. And then every time you win and other people are competing in this, you get NFTs to show that you are the number one predictor of that particular 900 other people played. So it's
Interesting.
doesn't
Okay.
involve cash. It's very casual, right? So I enjoy this because it, it's it's sports betting, or not sports betting. It's basically whatever you think is going to happen. You can put your money, your reputation on the line, and then you win it. So this one has raised about $5.3 million. I really think
So now,
it's more of a social component to it. Go ahead.
are they doing this with the blockchain, and what purpose? Immediately, the question I have in mind is, okay, great. I love the use case. It has practical use, but how does blockchain help here?
How does blockchain, so versus what? So it's more, I think they're looking at it more from a decentralized option where anybody around the world, because I know I talked about football, but it could be a soccer game and you talk trash talking somebody in India, you both follow Man United, right? There's not an easy way to do that right now. Like people from around the world get on it. Maybe there's a Web 2 app, and this is just a Web 2 app that needs to stay in Web 2. But to me, there's also NFT component to it, right? That's one. And then
Gotcha.
anytime you win something, you get an NFT that you can show as a prestige thing, saying, "Hey, I won all these NFTs." You don't call it NFTs, all these badges because I my prediction went well. And then you have coins. Every time you win, you get their own tokens as rewards, which you can use now to say, I have a very strong belief that this is going to happen. So you can put more coins in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason that they use blockchain behind it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think from what I understand, it's used in two places, right? I thought it's just the NFT, which is the tail end of the whole process, right? They
Yeah.
have this gaming system, but at the end they give you NFT. That's one use case. But from what you're saying, it looks like they are using blockchain as a system to acquire uh, money into the system as well as distribute it. Is that right? Like they use blockchain to
Correct.
get. Okay, got it. So okay, makes
The
sense.
tokens, which is not really value in the tokens at this point, but I don't. I'm pretty sure they have to monetize it at some point. Right now, they're just in the adoption phase, so it looks pretty cool from that. Again,
Okay.
I haven't opened an account. This is all research I've been doing. I'm going to try to open accounts in a few of these ones. And the next one, I think, very similar is UBet. This one is this one is basically betting, right? If you go down, they're very early in the process. If you scroll down there, basically you can bet on any games around the world. Right now, they're just starting a process for, you connect your wallet, transfer, and bet. I don't know if it's allowed where I live, but at the end of the day, it was just I was interested in it because about $2.7 million. They've raised $2.7 million in funding. It looks pretty straightforward, and I think the big thing is they took the house odds away. If you go to Vegas, there's always a odd, so you have better odds and more transparency in payout. Again, see they're lowering the house edge and so why do they use the same question? If you look at blockchain, is this is basically just to have a decentralized with liquidity providers where the house is not always winning or there's a big cut for the house, so they're lowering the whole edge for the house.
That's fascinating. So they took the concept of the house always wins, and they say, hey, it can be a decentralized house, and let's lower the yield, but still house still gets some money, and that way they fund
Yes.
the liquidity. Interesting. Okay, I like it.
And the next one, this is more is Super Team. They are basically builders of games, right? They're building new breed of sports games that they really, and they've raised about $10 million, but they are in early. They're just hiring right now, but they're building sports games that are like a Madden is an old, they calling it old and stagnant, or a football game. They're building games. The fresh take using the blockchain capabilities is not available when you just pick up a PlayStation and play. So a cross-platform and similar NFTs concept where you can buy something and use in other games. So they're very early. So I couldn't see a lot about what they do, but they have a team, and right now they're hiring to fill out their products. Again, this is just research I've done in a couple of hours, guys. So I don't have a lot of details, but to me it's exciting things that are happening in this space. I just wanted to share that. Do you mind moving to Monkey League, which is a little bit more exciting for me? So Monkey League, it's a play to earn $24 million race so far. So really, what you do is, I read a little bit more about it. You get a team of 4 monkeys minimum to start, and then each one has their own capabilities, and you kind of build them up, and you participate in competitions and win. So I think it takes away having to deal with any branded athletes or anybody giving them money or giving franchise money. It's basically building. It's like a lot of role playing games or other games where you get a monkey, get a character, and you kind of build them up, or you manage them, and then for playing, of course, winning games, you earn money. So it's a P2E. I know there's a lot of other like Axie Infinity, other P2E games that have
Right.
had a huge success and have gone down a little bit now, or a lot now. But so it's to me, I like the first of all the soccer, and it was just a colorful website where it was just interesting. I want to try it. I've not done this before, but it feels like there's a lot of commitment from a time and effort. But I don't know how much you know about Axie Infinity, Balaji, but
Yeah,
that was
I'm familiar with it. I think one of the key questions. By the way, the website looks pretty cool, right? The graphics is awesome. I wonder, much of this play to earn technologies out there. I think it progressively gets more and more expensive for someone to get a character and build. I mean, it all starts out easy and cheap, but as it picks up, right? It now with Axie Infinity, it almost took a it created another secondary market. Somebody else buys character and loans you because you can't even buy it anymore, right? Yeah, we should keep track of see how whether they come up with a different way to make this interesting, because we have all seen rise and fall of a lot of these, including the Axie Infinity side of things, right? So
all right. Let's go to the next one. So this one is interesting because it's engaged to own platform, and it gets sports fans and athletes, put them in touch. It's raised only about I shouldn't say only $600,000. But if you go down, it tells you exactly what they do, right? So you engage. I think this is where you can pick the music that they play, the clothes that they wear. Maybe go down a little bit more. I think I saw it. Like you get to pick.
Okay.
Yes. So the fans can make decision about jersey colors, the theme song that plays there, and anytime, and get special things for tickets that if they ever go to the game, and you start interacting with the players and athletes, so you can do meet and greet of your favorite players. The concept is cool, right? It's very early on, so I think they even talking about the next the T20 Cup that happened, but it's a very straightforward. So this is not meant for us to interact. Right? This is a platform where a team, let's say it's a kabaddi team or a hockey team or a football team, they can get on this platform and start engaging their fans. So it's building the platform to make it easy, so you don't have to have an in-house web blockchain person to help you, right? Smaller teams, I think, will definitely like if even I can see like college teams and other local club teams taking advantage of this if it catches on. Again, it has also has a two-sided marketplace, so it's always who gets here first. If we find the different get good clubs in here, then the audience will come. So let's see. But it's just a very early part of this whole process, and it's very interesting to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, my initial reaction is I think it's a lot of experimentation is being done how to actually get the fans to engage more, right? I mean, if you think about soccer, right, people who buy the annual season pass, right, they just got a ticket, just that, right? And the question is now,
Mhm.
what do you, how much can they contribute? Because they are hardcore fans, they're paying for the whole season. I mean, all kind of stuff going into this whole mix, right? And on top of that, there is nothing but good things come out of it when you engage the community, right? It kind of probably brings new type of variety in branding and other things that the club can expect out of this. So yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Like season ticket holders, if you can have a meet and greet or even a FaceTime call as a group with your favorite player, how cool would that be, right? So it definitely opens up a complete new avenue for interaction between fans and athletes. And I feel like bigger athletes or bigger teams might or might not need it. Maybe they do. But I can see like tier one, tier two teams or tier two, tier three teams can really take advantage of something to set them apart from their competition, right?
Right.
There's one, I have to say this story. There was a baseball. Is it baseball? Yes. Okay. I was never good at cricket, so I didn't play it, right? So maybe
Me
I found
neither.
it boring with that excuse, right? But the T20 game, which is a shortened version of the game, is more exciting for me, especially like India is playing Pakistan or Sri Lanka. Some tournaments going, I get engaged in it. So the similar concept in baseball. Baseball is a long game. It is America's favorite pastime, but uh, the big players make money when it comes to there's so many clubs around the country. So one of them did an amazing way. They basically shortened the game. They made it more interactive with the fans. The fans could pick the theme music, all of this, right? And then the concessions were cheaper, or the concessions where they made the money. The fans were able to. Oh, there was some. A shortened version of it where like we do T20 for cricket, they're like, okay, only a limited number of pitches per team. So there's so much it's almost they made it like the Harlem Globetrotters for baseball. And they
Gotcha.
were such a small team in a small town, but because they did all this interaction and made it so friendly, so approachable, and people could interact with it, they were one of the most profitable in that size of an organization, right? So now other clubs want to follow the model, so they're teaching them. But what I'm saying is, main thing they did was they're able to connect with their fans and gave them a very unique experience the whole way, and it made them be successful as a business. So I feel like something like this can offer that to any club or any team around the world, right? So that's what's exciting to me. All right, let's
Yeah,
move to
absolutely.
Gem.
One
Good.
thing
So
before we move on, I have a problem with this first engage to earn. Isn't Brave probably the first one? I think Brave browser is a engage to earn, right? It's a again, it's a
yeah,
terminology, but I get the idea, right? But I thought Brave did it already. They pay you to get engaged in
yeah,
reading or
but for
engage.
sports fans, that's what they're
Ex-
saying.
Okay, maybe they should add that platform for sports. Gotcha.
It's
Uh
funny.
oh, this thing didn't
It's
load.
okay. James already doesn't need our money. They've raised $50 million. They're more of a esports aggregator. So they have metaverse games. They have they just they're a platform that aggregates game. And if you scroll down, you'll see all kinds of games that they are bringing into the platform, the NFT marketplaces. So this is the big one of the bigger ecosystems. Whereas you could be investor in it, or you could be a developer who could develop for that ecosystem. So so I couldn't find a lot other than what you've seen on their website, and they have a lot of partnerships. So they are being here for a while. You can see the roadmap. So they're going to be able to offer P2P, which is player game tournaments, fan fiction academy or fan five. It's basically the studio where fans and players can interact with. So really, it is. if you look at the roadmap, it's pretty impressive. Again, I've not been part of this ecosystem, but it's a good place to keep your eye on as an investor or as a fan of the space to see where is this whole space going.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Yeah.
one or two more. Yeah, I think
Ampverse. Okay.
So this one is also a play to earn guild. I think they are Ampforce. Oh, they raised about $12 million, and they are paid. So what I like about this is you can join their guild. They only a specific set of games that they play: Axie Infinity, Town Star, Spider Tanks. So you basically become a guild player and play with them on the team to make money. And then look at this, they actually offer scholarship for people in Southeast Asia, India for daily earnings, where these folks will play these games to make money for their school.
Yeah, this is
So
what I was
that's
talking
what we
about. Like, it becomes so expensive now. They have to offer scholarships.
I think there was actually go down. I thought I saw a comedy team on this. That's maybe it wasn't this. I saw so many of them, but basically they were no, not this one. Sorry, it had to be another one, which was
Okay.
I think that's a platform. So the last one, so this one is just a new feature that's been added in Coinbase, where you can see if your political leaders have what affinity they have towards their game. I mean, to the game, towards crypto. So you can make decisions that it comes to midterm who you want to support. So it's just a Coinbase effort. There's nothing to sports. It's just another topic I want to cover. There's one other
Oh, is this a
thing
midterm election effort?
Yes. So I like it. This is making it easy for you to understand where you want to go. But there's one more thing. I don't think I sent you the link, but basically it's a sports betting platform on Solana. It looked very cool, of course, but I can't. As a U.S. resident, you can review it and look at all the betting lines and all that. But it is definitely meant for non-U.S. Residents. But overall, to kind of summarize, I know we went through a lot of them. Again, we didn't deep dive. You guys can go whatever interests you, what we showed you. It's just from an investor perspective, you see a lot of money going into it. From a fan of sports and esports and daily fantasy kind of things, this is just an exciting space for me to just keep an eye on. So I encourage you guys, if you're interested in this, to follow along and look at these companies, subscribe to their Twitter feed, and just follow through. But I really want to see some of the how these things evolve as companies, and especially I think after today's conversation, I'm gonna go get that sports wagering first one stakes my own account so I can do some trash talking. So let's see how good I am.
Good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah.
So overall, do you have any closing thoughts, Balaji? On I know our intent was to cover some trends that we see, just talk through pros and cons. And do you have any closing thoughts on things you've seen last week or what we talked about before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a industry watcher as a whole, I think the industry has hit a very key milestone, and it's only getting better on the computational side. I mean, if you think about Ethereum as the big internet computer versus Bitcoin as a store of value, I think the industry is making progress on the computational side of things. I think that's where the demand is going to come. Again, with all the Bitcoin maxis, sorry about that, but I'm a believer in the compute side of things, and I think that demand is going to drive towards the Web3 and other use cases. So I love all the action from this week.
Perfect. Yes, I'm excited about what we have come up for you guys next. We should be seeing you guys in another couple of weeks. We're going to do some deep dive into a couple of other topics of interest we'll bring back. So the intent is to just get the gears going on what are the opportunities there, and you guys can do a deep dive. But this is just us, trying to get more well informed in the space. And if you are an entrepreneur in the space, please reach out to us. And if you're a person who's interested in partnering, let us know. But thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
And none of this is investment advice. Take that into account.
Yes, definitely. None of this is financial advice.
All right.